Alright, picture this. The end credits of the film that you just watched start to roll. You instantly look over at your significant other with tears streaming down your face and exclaim how fabulous the film was. He agrees, but with a little less enthusiasm. You both get up, depart your ways to go use the restroom. As female bathrooms go, there's already 20 ladies in line. Stepping in the back of the line, you realize that one of the girls right in front of you is from your HS 390 class. Tapping her on the shoulder, she turns around and you say, "I think we have a class together." To help time go by faster, you strike up a conversation, and before you know it, you're hugging and crying and exclaiming that you're meant to be best friends. She's the next person to use the open stall, so she goes and yells out her telephone number to you so you can text her. A few minutes pass and you leave, and you see a line of boyfriends, fiancés, and husbands all up against the wall, just on their phones in their own little worlds. How many of you have witnessed this type of situation or been a part of it? Great. So I know this is kind of a stretched example, but I think it's a humorous way to help describe the differences between male versus female communication styles and methods. Due to people being creatures that form multiple relationships and connections throughout their life, it is essential to understand how the other gender communicates. You may ask, but who are you to teach me about this topic? Well, I am a family and marriage therapist on the side. Just kidding. Gotcha. I am very passionate, though, about this topic, and I think it's very intriguing and interesting. I have taken multiple psychology classes up at my university, and one of them was a relationship psych class, where we talked about conflict resolution between males and females before and after marriage. So, unless you're a hermit, you'll most likely form multiple connections throughout your life, and it could be very beneficial to know the differences between each gender and how they communicate, whether that's in platonic relationships, familial relationships, or romantic relationships. To help decrease the level of the unknown in this topic, I will help you to understand two different things today. The first is body language communication between each gender, and the second are the weaknesses and strengths of each gender's methods. So, just call me your communication guru. Let's start this thing. Whether we enjoy or dislike playing the game of what does their body language actually mean, there's really no way of getting around it. According to Point Park University's website, quote, "Nonverbal communication is integral to how we communicate," end quote. There are various types of methods that are used, but today I'm going to just be focusing on three. The first one is eye contact, second is physical touch, and third is nodding or gesturing. So first, eye contact. In the American culture, women use direct eye contact a lot more than men. And they do this by showing that they are concentrating on what the other party is saying. And by doing that, they're basically opening up an opportunity to form a relationship. Men, on the other hand, don't provide as much direct eye contact as women. And when they do, it's more in a hierarchical sense, to kind of help show who's boss and who has the power in a situation. We've all seen the men in certain movies that are, that have stare-offs between two over a female, and whoever backs down first loses, and the stronger guy who doesn't lose his gaze wins the lady. Second, touch. If you've ever been out and about in public, you realize that touch means different things to different people. Just like when men use eye contact, they use touch to show superiority or dominance. Point Park University website states men use pats, back slaps, and shoulder touches as a way to display dominance, end quote. But males also use touch to show playful aggression. Anyone who has been around a group of guys can testify that 1 minute they're having a deep conversation and the next minute they're wrestling and throwing each other up against the walls. That was definitely something I had to get used to, being a girl from an all-sister household. Conversely, women often use their ability to touch to show support or comfort. Ladies, how many of you have had a friend who is struggling and you either hug them, rub their back, pat their leg to show support? Wonderful. But also, ladies in the room, how many of you have used touch as a form of comfort or connection with someone you are romantically interested in? Guilty. I just let out a female secret, so men, pay attention. Third is hand gesturing and nodding. I'm one who talks a lot with my hands, as you can see, and it's more common for women to use hand gestures to explain things. And when we do, it's more fluid as we talk, compared to when a man speaks, it's more direct and rigid. When listening in a conversation, a woman nods her head to show that she is understanding what is being said. But a man takes that nodding as a form of agreement of what he is saying. As you can see, that is sometimes where miscommunications happen. We've all had experience with that, I'm sure. In another common situation, though, when a woman is speaking, she is looking for physical or verbal cues that the man is understanding and paying attention to what she's saying. So if she's not receiving either of those cues, she will repeat what she's saying in different ways or ask him if he's getting what she's talking about. Men often take this as a way that women are not confident in their opinion, and that can be detrimental to them in the workplace. Oh, thank you. So, as you can see, that causes a lot of miscommunication situations to occur. So now that we've talked about body language, let's move on to weaknesses and strengths between each gender. According to Arnold Senow, a certified speaking professional who works with teams of people to help improve their communication methods, stated, quote, "Although men and women speak the same language, we have differences in priorities, internal processing, and behavior patterns. It's easy to misunderstand, misinterpret, or simply not get where the other is coming from," end quote. A woman by the name of Carol Goldman wrote an article for Forbes magazine where she asked people in Europe, Canada, and the US what each of them thought were the strengths and weaknesses of each gender. So I'm going to discuss those. First, I'm going to touch on the strengths of each gender. A strength that women have is their ability to read body language and pick up nonverbal cues. This could be because we have an innate maternal nature, and we are trying to connect with people through that. Next, women are better listeners. Males often try to fix the problem by giving advice, while women just listen and are empathetic. By doing this and being empathetic, more and more people come to women to discuss their problems or concerns because they feel okay being vulnerable in those situations. Males, on the other hand, have a commanding physical presence. This helps people to take them seriously. We've all seen those movies where men are either the CEO or the lawyer or doctor, and when they come into a room, people definitely know when they are there. Along with possessing a strong presence, men showcase their power effectively, and those kind of go both hand in hand. And with those two strengths, men are better at getting to the point in interactions. Me, as a woman, I like to take about 20 detours in every story or conversation, and 1-minute conversation turns into about 30 because I get sidetracked. So that is definitely a plus, a positive thing that men have. Now on to the traits of in male and female communication that are on the weaker side. Females, as many of us know, are a lot more emotional. This can be looked at as a pro or con, but right now let's look at this as a con. Oftentimes when something goes wrong in a day, women let that bother them for the rest of the day. Women also struggle to get to the point. We like to chat, talk, converse. It's how we connect with others. Lastly, it's common for women to be categorized as submissive or not authoritative. I'm proud of my sex in the past couple of years for coming forward and being able to discuss things that we weren't able to in history, because I think that's very important. For males, they're often too direct and blunt. By being this way, many people take offense to how they handle situations and converse. Sometimes males think that portraying themselves in a macho or strong light will gain pride, but honestly, it's a turnoff for most people. Along with being blunt, males are sometimes insensitive to people's reactions. Many do not relate to others with empathy, or they just try and give advice. Lastly, we've all seen a male that is way too strong in his opinion, and that can definitely be seen in politics today and also in many celebrities. They think that their way is the highway and their opinion's the best in what should be considered fact. So, what can we learn from everything that we talked about? Sometimes it takes years or one's whole life to understand how the other gender communicates, but hopefully I shed some light into that dark abyss. Just like Ursula said from The Little Mermaid, quote, "Don't underestimate the importance of body language," end quote. And then I added, when looking at male and female communication. Just like anything else in life, each gender has strengths and weaknesses, and that's the same for communication methods and styles. And as a disclaimer, it's important to know that everything I said is not for every female in the world, or not for every male in the world. It's important to take it with a grain of salt. So, life is meant for forming various kinds of relationships, and I hope I shed some light and assistance into that aspect of life, because you may never know what you'll find. Thank you.